Hello, welcome to Search with Sean. And again, this is part of our Chat with Sean series where we talk to great experts across multiple areas in digital marketing. So, yeah, really looking forward to this one. And as usual, before we get going and do the intros to our great guests, I'll do some admin stuff, get that out of the way. So, generally, over the last few weeks, we've had some great chats with other individuals. So, we had Gizem Bingal, and we discussed everything to do with social media, SEO, especially folks on Instagram. She's had some great success there. She did a Brighton SEO talk all around it. So some great tidbits in there to really get going with if you're interested in social media SEO. And then last week, on a different kind of spectrum, we had BB, the link builder, who, if you work in SEO, you'll know the name. Great, entertaining video. And this was something we did quite different to what we usually do on the channel. We did real life examples and we just picked out some really random sites and just looked how we could build a backlink strategy for those particular sites. And it's really interesting. We use tools like Hrefs and stuff. So yeah, definitely check that one out. And there'll be links in the description and you'll probably see them popping up as well. And to finish off, obviously you've got loads coming up. I've got some really interactive sessions coming up without giving too much away, but we got another real talk with Sean coming up soon with some great guests. And that's where we just no holds barred talk about the latest kind of ongoing topics in SEO and digital marketing generally. And yeah, just have a bit of a talk about it with great experts. And then we've got more SEO and AI news coming out, plus some other stuff so please do subscribe because you'll be the first to hear about all those things. And obviously follow me on LinkedIn for any sort of updates. So I'll stop going on and I'll introduce my great guest and I'll do a quick intro and then we get going on some topics and questions and that kind of thing. So Lucy Gornall is the award-winning former health and fitness editor turned freelance journalist and copywriter, specialising in health, fitness, wellbeing, travel and lifestyle content. She has contributed to various online and print publications and has developed branded content for diverse clients. And additionally, Lucy is a certified personal trainer. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me, Lucy. Yeah, nice, great. Obviously, I've been trying to get this for a while, and we have worked together in the past. So
we have, yeah, good times.
And I can back up all those claims that you're fantastic at your job. Yeah,
that's very kind. Thank you. Thanks.
No problem. And yeah, let's get straight into it. And this is something that I'm really interested about. Obviously, on this channel, we do cover emerging technologies and especially artificial intelligence. So what emerging digital platforms or technologies do you believe will significantly impact journalism within the next few years? And a few examples I've seen and something that's rising up quite a lot and we get eyeballs on, it seems, of these kind of new news publication websites that really try to make it obvious who's right focused, who's left focused, who's centered, steering the kind of conversation that way, because people want, in their opinion, like a more clarity around what publications are leaning one way or the other or have biases and stuff like that. So yeah, interested to hear your thoughts on all that.
Yeah, I agree with you that there's now, you're often swayed to think a certain way. There's not many neutral in terms of like politics publications anymore. I even think the BBC does sway more to the left than the right, despite the fact it should be a neutral platform, as we all pay this extortionate license for. So yeah, no, I agree with that strongly, which is why I think we all have to be very open to reading different publications. It's very easy to stay in your little rabbit hole and read the things because it thinks the same as you. But to broaden your mind, you need to be reading other magazines, other newspapers, etc. When it comes to technology that's impacting journalism, AI is like the talk of the town right now. It would be the celebrity on the front cover if it was a magazine. Chat GCP, other similar AI technologies are a bit of a worry. I do worry about it, actually. It's crossed my mind a lot lately, especially the fact that it is just everywhere now. Everywhere you turn, there's AI, some form of AI. And as a writer, I know I make my living from writing. I write morning till night. That's what I do. That's how I earn money, as is the same for other print journalists. So when we see copy that's written in AI, it's almost like a kick in the teeth, because you're like, that took about 2 seconds to write. And I spent hours slogging over an article, making it exact and chatty or whatever. And then AI can just bash out this copy very quickly. It's impressive. AI is impressive. I've written a blog on this actually about how we have to work with AI. It's not going anywhere, unfortunately. I hate to say it. I wish AI in terms of writing, I know it has other uses in other industries. I can't comment on those. But in terms of like journalism, I wish AI would just go away. I can't stand it. Yeah. We have to work with it though. It's not going anywhere. So we have to use it to not abuse it. So I'll turn to ChatGPT, for example, for maybe inspiration or just to check a wording or a sentence, but I refuse to use it to write any of my pieces. I don't think AI is yet at the stage where it replaces the human voice, luckily. It lacks the personality, the chattiness, the flair of a human writer. So, that there's a lot of like negative points about AI still, but it's massively growing and improving day by day. So it could only be a matter of time till it's very different. I don't know. Can't predict the future, unfortunately. But yeah, I think AI is probably the biggest thing that's impacting journalism in the next few years. I can go into more of that as we recap. But
Yeah, obviously, I've got my own personal interests that I go into, and the things I follow, a lot of them are like investigative journalists, and they get a lot of things coming to them in terms of stories, and they have really now decipher now if that is a real life image or story or video compared to, or is it AI generated, manipulated in any way by using AI. And I know Vicky Patterson, it was on TV last night around the porn video. She was making a video around sex and stuff, and it was quite controversial, but it just shows that it can easily be done, and that could easily become a story on the front page of a newspaper, and it was totally fabricated. And that's only going to get it's going to get worse. And even audio, you only need a snippet of someone's voice and create a whole conversation. So if you had you said you've tapped Donald Trump talking to it could spark a war if you do it the right way. Yeah, I can see that happening more, and journalists are going to have to get quite sophisticated in how they detect what is and what isn't AI.
That for sure. And also, I think only the strong will survive. If you can't write, you won't last. Like, you need to now be able to write properly. You need to be able to have, these days, journalists need to be able to have so many strings to their bow. You need to be able to create content, write, video, everything. We can go into more of that. But yeah, AI really stresses me out. It's a topic I could talk about for hours. It's hard to know what's real. I feel for kind of young people now. Not feel for them, but I would not have wanted to be a teen during the social media era. And now even more so with AI, I scroll on Instagram and I'll see faces and bodies, for example, that are actually AI, but I just don't know what's real or what's not. But luckily, a lot getting called out by kind of experts, etc., because there's just so much fake nonsense now on social media. But yeah, in terms of journalism, I've not received anything in my inbox that's made me think it's not real yet. Who knows? But for me, AI is potentially getting in the way of future work. It could take over writers' jobs, for example. I use it to like transcribe interviews, which is fine. But previously, a human would have done bit by bit. Jobs are becoming, AI is taking over certain jobs. And I'll get, say, PRs will email journalists day in, day out because they want to pitch their stories or campaigns or their clients new products, for example, and they want the journalist to write about it. And I've had the odd AI written press release, which blows my mind how you can send a journalist an AI written release when the journalist literally, like, they get paid to write. It just baffles me. I delete them immediately and I'm like, I will never read. I will never carry on reading this. I get really like a bee in my bonnet about this stuff. So yeah, it's just a really annoying area. But like I said, we have to work with it, not against it. If you don't work with it, you will fall behind, I think, and you will, you need to stay up to date with technology because ultimately it's not going anywhere. So you have to work with it. But yeah, it's quite daunting. I see it everywhere. LinkedIn captions, Instagram captions, people's websites written in a matter of hours because they've just used AI to write it. And that would have been previously like a human's job. So I copyright as well. I work with lots of different brands. I'll write their websites, for example, blogs. The more websites that get written by AI, the less work there are for copywriters. But you can see AI a mile off. It sounds the same. It's robotic. It's always got various like American isms, which Brits don't use. So it's just such a giveaway. It just doesn't sound right, especially when if it's someone's like LinkedIn caption, especially when you know the person and you're like, that's not how you talk. You've never used that word in your life. And suddenly you're using things like additionally, moreover. Like, no one speaks like this ever unless you're writing like a dissertation at university. No one talks like this. So AI is just so obvious. I hate reading AI content. I think it sounds samey. But yeah, it's a bit of a worry. Sorry, I've gone off on such a tangent.
Well, I flat out transparency. What I do is I write stuff, and I'm not great at grammar and stuff. So
Yeah.
I ask it to correct grammar and that kind of thing. Try and keep it in my tone of voice, and then I edit again because I want it to maintain my sort of.
Wow.
Yeah, I do use AI for that purpose. It's not just bad at grammar and stuff. So I ask it for help in that aspect. But in terms of
that's a great way to use it. It's when kind of writers or say people who get paid to write for a living are using it. It just seems to me a bit off, but that's to me.
it can either go two ways, can't it? It can either AI is going to keep getting better at being more human and starting to that kind of language, which obviously they're trying to do. Or it can be that us humans get better at still working out what is AI and what isn't, and desire human language, natural language, and or obviously both can happen as well. But obviously we've seen like the emergence of Reddit and platforms like that where people are more desiring human generated content now because of this mass import of AI content. But with across where we go with SEO and your world is that, only the best are going to survive now. If you're using all these shortcuts to do your SEO, you're not going to stay around for much longer. People are going to find you.
I agree. Yeah.
It's similar in that respect.
Taking shortcuts in some areas never works. You will always get caught out in the end. Shortcuts aren't always the answer to stuff.
No. And
I think if it worked, everyone would be taking shortcuts and everyone would be earning millions of pounds and everyone would be at the top of their game. And unfortunately, we're not.
No, it's on LinkedIn as well sometimes is that people say, I did these shortcuts and made all this money.
Oh, LinkedIn's the worst.
And they could do the same. And they may have got lucky or they might have just made it work in their circumstance, but that isn't usually how it plans out. Yeah,
LinkedIn's annoying for that. I always wrote, and I write a blog on this too. If you're ever feeling, especially as a freelancer or you work for yourself, like you're a failure, don't go on LinkedIn because it will just exasperate that feeling times a million. Everyone on LinkedIn is apparently earning millions of pounds and does it with working 1 hour a day and still juggles their childcare, relationship, holidays, everything. I'm like, this is not real. No, you're not. There's something you're not telling us. Or it's just exaggerated. I don't know. It just seems odd. Also, I feel like if I was earning that kind of money, the last thing I'd be doing is posting that on Instagram. On LinkedIn, blah, blah. I'd be like, working, I'm not posting about it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just clickbait, isn't it? And is this kind of, I guess I'll ask this first thing, move on to the next topic. But
yeah, sure.
With the like in search, talking about search only, but obviously there's now like this trend where search engines are trying to just get straight to the point and answer people's queries as quick as they can using AI, and obviously all the features and all the search features, feature snippets, and also when people ask certain queries, sometimes they go directly to that part of the website where they answer the question. Is that problem for journalists in terms of like long form, a piece of journalist kind of content that you create that's more kind of topical maybe and opinionated and that kind of thing? Is that kind of, do you think that's ever going to die and go away, or do you think there's always going to be a place for that?
I think long form is probably dying a little, unfortunately, if that's what you mean.
Long form opinion pieces, topics.
Yeah, I still love them, but then I spend my day reading and writing, so it's a bit different. But for your average Joe, what's the attention span apparently these days? It's not long. It's massively short because all the next wave of generations they spend all their time scrolling on TikTok and Instagram, and it's not solely their fault. These social media apps are made to make them do this. You can't blame young people per se because they've just grown up with this. But yeah, I think we want shorter things. You want quicker info, patience. None of us have patience anymore. None of us are prepared to wait or read on. We want stuff quick. We want stuff now. We want answers. Think how angry you get when you're trying to load a web page and it takes more than a split second. These days, that is just tipping point. Or when you get the tube and you're like, 2 minutes, what? No, I need a nap. It's just but I just don't understand. Yeah, patience is just completely gone. We're just so used to having things instantly, especially in London, when you have an app for every single thing on your fingertips. So if I wanted a donut right now, I could probably get on within the next 20 minutes. Everything is done. So I think we're in this world where, yeah, I think a lot less of us. If you were to ask younger people how often they read long form pieces, I think it would be significantly less than, say, my mum, who's in her 60s, and older people. But the Google search, it's funny how that just suddenly kicked in last year, didn't it? I was just like, oh, right, AI is telling me these things. I skip past that every time because I don't trust it. I don't trust AI yet to tell me the truth about stuff. When it links you to studies, it like links you to an article. I'm like, no, well, what if the article's wrong? I don't trust the article. I need the study link or the page, like the original, where the story came from originally. And when I write articles, for example, I'll always include studies. You have to have evidence to back stuff up. So that bit of AI at the top of Google just gets in my way. I scroll straight past it. I need to get to the actual stuff that I'm searching for. To me, I was actually having this conversation with someone yesterday. Google will still trumps AI for me. Google always wins. I love Google. I think it's great. It's because I'm so anti-AI. But yeah, I think short form is definitely becoming more prominent, I would think. Even when I write articles these days, more of those are being pitched out than the longer ones, for example. It's quick and new, it's more instant.
And obviously, it's interesting because I like to see, because on YouTube, there are still people doing long form content videos, 3 or 4 hours, and get millions of views. Obviously, Rogan interview with Trump got, I think it's over 60 million something.
Well, yeah.
And it went on for 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
A lot of those sort of things. So people are still watching long form stuff, but maybe it's because they can start it. It's a bit easier with that kind of format. And we like to see the age brackets around that because that's still.
Yeah, watching, definitely. Reading an article, I feel like longer forms going, but watching an interview with Donald Trump, you put Trump in something with an interview, millions of people are obviously going to watch that. It's, yeah, that's a great person to have on your show, isn't it?
Obviously, you could look at things like audio and stuff like that on your page, make it a bit more interactive and a video of the content if you can go down that route. So how do you think copywriters maintain originality in their work amidst the rise of AI generated content? Say, how can you just make it stand out from the AI? What do you do to make that pop?
I just write in my voice. AI is not the point yet where it can mimic your own voice. I write in my voice. I'll have short sentences, long sentences. I won't try. Sometimes what AI does is it will try and find a different way of wording something every time. So say I was writing about the pink pen. It would try and change the pink writing utensil or the pink. It would keep changing it. No, I don't need to do that. It's the pink pen. So it does that a bit, which is annoying. So I just try and keep my own voice, my own personality within it. That's really the difference with AI. And I make sure that it's spelled English. Fiber, Fiber, color, COLOR. These are all American words, American spellings rather. Yeah, really, to keep it authentic, it's just writing in your voice. Don't turn to AI and it will be authentic. The second you flip onto AI, you can lean towards their way of writing. And I think that's when you start going down a bit of a dodgy path, in my opinion. So yeah, you have to keep your voice in it, and journalists do this day in, day out, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem, really.
Do you think if you did do a piece that was highly AI generated, that some publications would like notice and just take it on anyway? Do you think you could probably pull the wool over their eyes, or do you think they're all pretty clued on to what's going on?
I wouldn't dare. I wouldn't dream of sending a publication AI written, principle. And also, if you get caught, they're not going to turn to you ever again. I'm a freelancer. So when I pitch article ideas or send articles off, I hope it's good enough that they want to keep using me. The last thing I need is them to go, this is AI, we're not going to use you again. That's a client gone, or a publication that doesn't want me. No, I wouldn't dare use AI for any work. But places are savvy. We're writers. We see AI every single day, and we're not stupid. Editors know is AI, I think, and what's not. I get a lot of experts sending me. So for articles, I'll always get experts involved to give comment, to back things up. And I get a lot of experts sending me their copy AI written. I don't care if it was a way of formatting your notes. I don't care how you've done it. I don't need AI copy from an expert. It just sounds the same. Honestly, this morning, every single day, AI copy is landing in my inbox. And it's just the most painful experience when I have to reply and say, is this AI written? No. And they get so defensive. And I'm like, just yes or no. Because if it's yes, and I know it's yes, I can't use it. Or I have to reword it completely. You've just given me a whole other job to do. So these days I try and get more calls with experts, because sometimes you can get away with email if it's just a basic question. But nowadays I have to try and do calls for everything, because I just can't trust that the stuff's going to be written by the person rather than a machine.
Yeah, 100%. And I think obviously that, like SEO, that's the way you're going to also differ yourself to AI, is getting that expert insight, because they can't do that.
Yeah, that's it.
Where they can go and do the outreach and do all that kind of thing. But right now they can't. But
I hope I'm retired by then.
I was actually going to bring up something, but before I do that, I'll just bring out an example. So a lot of time when I'm doing my show notes of my AI and SEO news, I use AI to sometimes extract stuff from long articles.
Research tool.
Yeah, and then sometimes it'll bring out like quotes from people on the articles. And then sometimes when I look back and double check that person actually said that, it's completely wrong. So you can imagine what on Google, what the AI is saying. If you say, oh, what did Lucy say on this? And actually it was me who said it, and they quote you.
Yeah.
In what kind of trouble that could get people in.
Yeah.
They're claiming that so-and-so said this, and actually someone else completely different on an article. Or it was just totally false. No one said.
It's just not fully reliable yet. We can't trust it. So even if you are using AI, say for your blogs, you still will have someone coming in to check it and fact check it and edit it. So it's not completely foolproof AI. Like I would double check everything AI told me, which is why I'm stick past the Google thing.
No, some of them are good. Some of them are like,
yeah. If it's obvious what it is, if I typed in what is pasta made of or something, but if I needed something a bit more serious that I didn't know the answer to, I wouldn't rely on it, and I would research somewhere else.
Yeah, one of the things talking about emerging trends before is obviously now ChatGPT, they're bringing out things like tasks and operators and stuff like that. Obviously in the journalist world, it could be quite interesting, because like I've been testing it out. I haven't really got much results from it yet, but you can say, if you're looking at a certain topic, go away and research such and come back to me later today with your findings, or analyze this piece of work and then come back to me tomorrow with your findings and compare it to other pieces. And you could basically anything you could tell it to go and send it. And then these operators and agents are going to be able to actually then go on there, do a bunch of things. It'll be like having assistants and stuff. But
yeah. It's interesting. Yes. It's ever changing, isn't it? You can't predict what's going to come next.
Yeah, it's evolving for sure. So we obviously touched upon it a bit, but how can journalists effectively integrate AI tools into their reporting and content creation whilst like we say, upholding that ethical standards and maintaining credibility at the same time. And you've touched upon a few little things that you do. And
Yeah.
where do you draw the line in terms of
I just don't use it to write anything. I might use it to say research. I have gone onto ChatGPT and say, can you find something online that tells me this? And I'll be like, I need the study link. And sometimes it's worked. I might go on and be like, can you give me an alternative word for this? Sometimes I have a bit of a mind blank and like, I need a different word or a phrase. Might go on. I would never, ever just use what it wrote and copy and paste that into something. To maintain credibility, ultimately, you need to use AI minimally and stick to doing your research and finding your experts. That's the main way. That is the safest way, because then you know that you haven't had any influence from AI into your work. So if someone was to bring it up with you, you can really you can be assured of the fact that this is just my work. But like I said, do use it. Like I use it to transcribe my interviews. I use it for little bits like that, odd tasks, just to speed up the prep process for an article. But the article itself, I would write. And I don't blame journalists when they do use it too, because it is easy and people want easy now. A lot of people aren't prepared to put the work in, which is annoying. That's a different topic. But yeah, you'll get caught. Like I said, it's just people knowing it's not your voice anymore. Editors and journalists, they're not stupid. We see it every day. So we know what's AI now and what is written by a human.
Yeah, even with video content, I'm thinking, because a lot of, and this is personal preference, and obviously everyone's going to think differently, but I like the kind of more unedited, untouched stuff, because more of their personality, more, it's all right, everyone makes mistakes. So heavily chopped and changed and cut and and stuck together and stuff. You're a bit like, who, that could be a computer, just obviously it isn't, but you're not gonna really see who they are and their real true personality. So I make mistakes, I do have to edit out.
Yes.
But I try and keep a few in just to show that it's
real.
a genuine person, genuine.
Yeah. You're a human.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, this is interesting because I know you're good at this. So really interested to hear your thoughts, and I think other people wanting to know. But what strategies do you employ to make your pitches for work stand out, especially engaging like popular? This is one thing I thought about: engaging popular topics and trending topics where things are competitive and stuff. But even just generally your pitches, how do you put make them stand out?
So I send pitches a few times a week to different publications. If you're talking about the journalism side, for example, where I'll send article ideas. On the copywriting side, it tends to be a little bit more structured. I'm sent the kind of the avenue the brand wants to go down. But when it comes to journalism and writing articles, making pitches stand out, we have to tailor them to publications. So some publications are a bit more chatty. They might really appreciate something a bit more kind of rogue or more clickable, whereas other publications want something a bit more investigative, a bit more in-depth. So again, it's tailored to the publication. I wouldn't just send a round robin of pitches to magazines. It just wouldn't work. A lot of the thing with pitching, it's about your contacts, and pitching can be hard because you don't always hear back from people often, and it can be quite, what's the word when it's a bit, it knocks your confidence a bit when you don't hear from people, when you don't hear back from people. So it's a lot about who you know and your network and staying close to people and maintaining relationships. But journalism and PR has always been about that. My pitches make sure that the headline is catchy, and that if it's for online, it would be something that their readers would want to click on without it being too clickbaity, because that can go a whole other way. And needs to have exclusive, like an expert that's, say, exclusive to me, that I know that only I can write about. Some hooked off a stat, maybe a stat that the editor doesn't know. So I might be like, oh, I didn't know 50% of people sleep for 2 hours a night. That's completely off. Great stat. Here's an article, 8 ways to sleep better. Hooked off stats and new data always works. And experts that I know they couldn't get their hands on that I could. But yeah, and making it timely as well. What's coming up, Valentine's Day, Easter, etc. Making sure it fits with approaching events. Right.
Yeah, see, there would be the answer there, but if it is like Valentine's, obviously there'd be so many pictures for Valentine's and things like
Yeah.
that. You really, like you say, that's why you have to go down using your contacts to try and make that unique content as different as possible. And yeah, absolutely, that is so difficult to stand out in the inboxes. I'm sure they get them.
Yeah, definitely. That's why it's so much about who you know, because if you're really close with an editor, say, they're likely to be more inclined to click on you. When I used to commission freelancers and I was an editor, I would always be more inclined to click on the names I knew. Naturally, of course you are. If someone you know lands in your inbox, you click on theirs first, don't you? It's just one of those things. Yeah, the relationships you have with people is always really important. Definitely.
Yeah, and obviously, do you consider like your personal brand? Because obviously, as a freelance now, especially if people know you more and the like digital marketing world or whatever a bit more than others, it might help you also stand up if you're a voice in the community and that kind of thing.
Yeah, just making sure you stay relevant on social media, but that's not always it. I know a lot of journalists who do fantastically and they barely go on Instagram or LinkedIn. So it probably helps, but if you've got a great network already, you don't always need to be posting LinkedIn things. I use LinkedIn for posting some client work, the odd article, and like some blogs that I write. But it does help having like your own brand. I guess when you're freelance, you are your own person, so you have to have your own kind of brand. And I think it helps to have an area that you focus on. So mine is health, being, fitness, and that's what I'm obsessed with anyway. So it helps if you've got an area that you're passionate about and that kind of that comes across in your content, etc. So like Instagram, I just post a load of fitness stuff all the time. So it makes it very clear what I'm into. So yeah, you definitely need to hone that a bit, but that's not the be all and end all. People do very well without that as well. So it's not, you don't have to, I don't think you have to have your personal brand completely nailed.
That's fair enough. And like you say, using things like AI and that could perhaps damage some relationships and obviously have a longer term effect on your work. So,
Yeah, your relationships are golden in journalism. Who you know, who you're in with, it's like gold. And it's so important. And I've really discovered that more since going freelance. So yeah, I wouldn't wreck that by using AI. God, no, I would not take the risk. Far too scary.
and this is interesting because obviously, well, I know if you've got experience of this. How do you approach creating branded content that maintains that journalistic integrity while effectively promoting a brand's message? Because obviously, some brands are quite strict in how they want to be portrayed in the general public, and they've got certain messages that they don't want to stray away from. So that I guess that can make it quite tricky in terms of sending out certain messages and
Yeah, definitely. We go back and we've worked together on stuff that has been tricky in the past. But no, some brands, yeah, you just have to look, they're paying you ultimately. So you can try and steer them a little and encourage them or be like, look, I've done this in the past. This has worked for the brand. But ultimately, they're paying you. So just go with what they want. But you can encourage a little if you like and be like, what about this? Or show examples of other ways of doing things. But sometimes brands just really have a message they want to get out there. And you have to stick with that. I find blogs really helpful for brands to try and spread their message in a bit more of an authentic way because you can write about lots of different topics and then the SEO comes in as well and you can really make that their brand hit higher on Google obviously but yeah, I do think some brands you just have to, like I said, they're paying you, so just do what they ask. Don't try and be too pushy.
if there ever been a case though when they've been so restricting on what you can say that maybe it's really impacted the work you're doing that you just felt I can't even go there. Or has it not got to that point?
I've felt before like I've submitted something with a bit of personality or I've tried to veer away and they're like sent it back and make the amends. So I always try and I always encourage or offer alternatives. But no, I've never hit the point where I'm absolutely at my wit's end. But there are times where I read and I think this is so boring. We could make this so much better. But at the end of the day, I'm not the boss there. I'm not running the brand. I'm the copywriter. So I have to do what they want at the end of the day. But no, there's definitely times where I think, God, this sounds dull because it's just lacking personality or character. But if that's what they want, then what can you do, really?
Yeah, I just feel maybe because of the way that things are going, and it's going to become more and more competitive in the whole landscape, that maybe some brands general will have to loosen up a little bit, and because creativity become even more important than ever. How do you stand out from these
Yeah.
the content? So you have to, and I feel like they're going to have to be a bit more helpful in terms of the generation of this content. Can they supply experts better? Can they supply imagery? Can they supply audio, video, stuff like that? Because that's going to be, I feel, the way that you get ahead. That AI.
Yeah, I think with when it comes to, say, the PR side, if a brand contacts me, if PR contacts me about one of their clients, one of their brands, when they've got imagery, videos, and other elements to their pitch, it does make it stand out a little bit more because you've got extra content to back it up. But yeah, these days you have to be like a jack of all trades, don't you, and be able to dabble in lots of different areas: pictures, video, written work, etc. Yeah.
Sorry. And then we're coming down to the last few questions now, if you're okay with. In terms of, I know we've talked about this offline, but how do you measure success in your world? Because obviously with SEO, it's quite easy because we have all these different tools telling us metric, data with Search Console and stuff, and paid teams easily have, they can measure it against. How do you measure a success of a piece of work? Is it just coverage?
Well, if I send it, say I wrote a piece for, I don't know, The Sun, and I sent it off to them, yeah, the more clicks that article gets online, the better, really. Especially if it's an idea I pitched. I'm like, yes, that was me. So yeah, it's all about the clicks. And with any publication online, more clicks means more brands want to advertise with you, means more money coming in. So that's just obviously how it works. A lot of newspapers now have a paywall as well to make more money. A lot of stuff is just about making sure there's enough revenue to keep publications going. But yeah, mostly it's about, like with a print article, it's a lot harder to know. Print sales are sadly on the decline. A lot of the magazines I started out in, so Now Magazine, Look Magazine, the print versions of those titles have all closed, which is a shame because 15 years ago, showbiz mags were absolutely at their peak. And now they're just dropping like flies, which is sad because I remember the days of going to the airport and buying like 5 magazines and it was just great. So yeah, that's changed. But so it's hard to assess how well your print piece is doing, but online it's all about, yeah, more clicks, the better, really. And with you, I do a lot of SEO content for brands, say, and that very much is how highly it's ranking on Google. And if that's improving, then obviously the content is working.
I guess from your side as well, it's obviously satisfaction from the client, their feedback, and also if new are coming in, because if new jobs are coming in, people are talking to you, people accepting your pictures and whatever, then I guess you're doing something right. So I guess
naturally, that for personal success, always, if I get a nice complimentary email, I'm like, yes. But if I get an email that's not so complimentary, it ruins my entire day and night. It's like anything, you get an email you don't like, it completely knocks your confidence, doesn't it, for a day or two? But it's the highs and lows of when you work for yourself. It's never going to be smooth sailing. You're never going to have constantly perfect days.
If someone is working in journalism now and they're considering taking the plunge and going freelance, do you recommend it? Or
yeah, I would. Publications now, a lot of them are hubbing, so you'll have one say health editor over 5 different titles, which is what I used to do. It's great, but the jobs are going, redundancies are being made in a lot of the publishing houses, which is unfortunate. I hate seeing the news come up where Future or Hearst or whatever has made redundancies. It breaks my heart because I love this industry so much. But yeah, I think freelance, and more journalists are going freelance. But when you're freelance, you have to, from my perspective, you'd never stop working. You're thinking of ideas 24/7. You wake up and you work. You're always on it because ultimately you do have a salary. So you do have to, the more you work, the more you earn. But yeah, I would recommend freelance. You get your, I go to the gym at 10 a.m. I go to Pilates at 4. But I start work at 6 for a few hours. I'm really productive then. So it's pitch black outside and all my mates are still in bed. I'll be like, getting my work done. I love it. I love freelance. I think it's been great. The best thing I did it at the right time. And I've loved it since. There's down days, down weeks even, where you're like, God, I'm really bad at this. This is not going well. And then other weeks, it's like you're on an absolute high. But the thrill of that is almost quite fun in itself. But yeah, and I just take my laptop. I've got my laptop and internet. I can work anywhere. So anywhere in the world, I'll just work, which is great. This is brilliant. No complaints.
Yeah, you're always somewhere different when I talk to you. And
Literally, you always catch me when I'm in a really remote place in the world.
so I was just going to say that obviously it helps as well if you're got a niche that you can really focus in on, and obviously if
Yeah.
you're passionate about it, well, it helps because you're going to do a better job in some way. So I think if you can find a niche that's quite popular
Totally.
as
Yeah.
well, that can work in your favor.
Yeah, 100%. My background's always been health and fitness. I was a health editor. I worked over wellbeing magazines, and I live and breathe it generally. So work doesn't feel like work when you're doing something you enjoy. There's days where everyone would much rather be lying on a beach somewhere without their laptop. But if you can wake up on a Monday and feel pretty good about work, then I think you've done well. And if you're writing about something you enjoy, then it's pretty good going, really.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously, when we talk about the online world, is Google are trying to build knowledge panels and build entities around what certain people are and what they cover, and try and really understand what the person represents. And obviously, if you build that sort of niche and that you're getting the recognition and all these different publications that are covering a similar topic, you're going to be known online now for that area. And
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
yeah,
And hopefully people just keep coming to you and be like, oh, she knows what she's on about. She knows what she's doing.
yeah, exactly. I think so. And let's just finish off on this one because I think it's really interesting. How have audience expectations in health and fitness content consumption changed over the past decade? Obviously, social media has probably played a huge role in this, as you said. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? I think with AI and manipulating certain imagery and stuff like that. And obviously there's new sort of ways people keep fit now, new kind of challenges and new TV shows and stuff around fitness. Yeah, how do you feel it's going to change, and how has it changed in the last few years?
Videos obviously become a huge element of social media, YouTube, etc. Video's big. A lot of articles I write fitness-based now. I have a video alongside it. So I'll get an expert to film something, for example. People love videos. People love seeing something. I think what people want to see has also changed. People aren't stupid now. Fad diets, lose a stone in a week kind of thing, they're out. They used to be huge, but people aren't dumb. Like, we know that's not sustainable. It's not real anymore. So what they believe is changing. People are getting savvier. Less of the kind of like body shaming that we used to have on the front of magazines. It's still rife on social media, but that's separate. But in terms of media, you don't really get that anymore, not to the degree that we used to. So that's changed a lot as well. A lot more kind of careful about what we say and about bodies and health, etc. But yeah, I think video is a huge part. Social media, yes, but we have to be aware of the fact that most people posting on social media have no clue or no qualifications to comment on this stuff. So there's a lot of fake stuff online. And this is where I think really good journalism comes in, to make sure people are well educated and clued up. Turn to those publications that you can trust. Social media isn't always the best place. And if you are looking at science, like an influencer's account, are they qualified? What qualifications do they have? Check them out first before you go trusting them, because there is a lot of nonsense online. I scroll through stuff all the time. I'm like, what on earth are they on about? Conflicting views, etc. It can be. There's a lot of noise now in health and fitness, and I do think a lot of the time you can strip it back down to basics and live a very healthy, fit life. There's a lot of trends or quick fixes, etc., that people see online, and they're not really that real, unfortunately. If it was easy to be healthy and fit 24/7, we'd all be doing it, and wouldn't be obesity problems, all the health problems that there are, etc. So there's something going wrong. Yeah, it's my thought.
Yeah, I understand. And obviously, there's, like you said, there's so many conflicting. One thing is damaging for cancer. The other thing is a cure for cancer.
Yeah. You can't do right for doing wrong anymore. Like, everything you do will be wrong somehow. You can't eat salt. You can eat salt. You can't eat salt, but then add salt to your water for electrolytes. Okay. So what is it? There's everything.
Coffee, you
Yeah.
drink too much, you get cancer. You don't drink enough, you get cancer.
Yeah. Cancer's always a thing. Heart disease, cancer, dementia. I'm like that kind of thing. If you get a bad night's sleep now, I worry. I'm like, have I just increased my dementia risk? I'm like, you had a bad night's sleep, please. Let's just stop it, Lucy. But yeah, and I write this stuff and I still fall for things I see. I'm still like, oh God, is this real? So
and like obviously I cover cancer content all the time, and I still look at this stuff, and that's obviously why this whole COVID ramps up.
Oh, good. Yeah, COVID good.
For misinformation and dangers around health and content. And this is why obviously when Google introduced EAT around, like you just said, showcasing that where data to back up these claims, where that data came from, how that data can be trusted, how you can be as an author or editor, and so on and so forth. That's why it's so important, because anyone could throw out these claims, and and where do you get that information from? And this is why I had a debate on this for Sean. Is just so I just finished. I was just saying with Wikipedia, I see a lot of YouTube hosts using Wikipedia as a resource. I don't think research that could be manipulated by other humans in any way to be trusted as a resource that you can quote.
But being at school and we were always told don't use Wikipedia, there's a reason, because it wasn't real. This is why when I write articles, you have to get experts involved and you have to get evidence to back claims and stuff. If you read a proper article from a good publication, you'll find some truth, I think. And don't always believe a headline, because headlines are there for you to click on naturally. And everyone knows that's the way it is. You read further down the article, you'll find out that you won't get cancer from everything you do, and you won't die tomorrow if you do this or that. But yeah, find proper publications with journalists who actually back up their writing, and you'll read a good piece. I think going on social media now, everyone's an expert on social media.
Yeah, 100%. Like as students,
when
I follow certain topics, and then drones are flying over the UK and America, and everyone's talking about drones, and then suddenly everyone becomes a drone expert. And then obviously when COVID hits, everyone's now a medical expert in.
Oh, I know. Yeah. COVID really changed the game, didn't it? But
no, and it's just but I think what is the future for me in this sense is, especially you talk about a controversial sort of topic, is experts. We get experts from different points of view, because the expert has a certain viewpoint, a certain bias in some perspective. So you can get conflicting expert points of view. Well, obviously, it depends on the topic. Some things,
of course, some things are just set in stone.
It's all
whatever. No, a balanced view is always good, and then sometimes it's for the readers to make their own informed decision.
Yeah, which I think that is my dream. Is that the internet, and that's what it was meant to be. And this, the interview I had with Sarah Pokorna before a few weeks ago mentioned this, is that if you typed in Donald Trump, is he a good president, or is Donald Trump a bad president, you should get the same piece of work, just seeing how good he is as a president. Would agree. But it was coming up with different results based on your search. So it would emphasize your bias. So you're putting in good, it'll be a piece around how good he is. And if you but that isn't how the internet should work. It should be who's creating the best piece to cover the different parts of those viewpoints. That's
true. But I also think we have responsibility in ourselves to not believe everything and to be more thorough with our research. We're adults. We should know now that the internet, etc., can sway you. So we need to do our own research, look at different angles, read different publications, take advice from different areas, and not just believe the first thing we see, because that will be done or written in a way to sway you to a certain side. So yeah, it's a bit on our shoulders too. We can't change the internet, unfortunately.
Interesting. We'll leave it at bombshell. And is there anything else coming up at your end that people should be aware of? Or
no, but I will just say I'm here if anyone wants their copy written. Always happy to write anything health, wellness, lifestyle related. It's my passion. So Yeah, and happy to talk about AI till the cows come home. Is that the line? Well, no, it was
Yeah,
great chat to you.
no, it's great. And also, I will put people can connect with you. I'll put your LinkedIn account and your
Thank you.
blog and everything in the description. So people want to reach out to Lucy, then that's the best way to do it. So yeah, I'll just finish up and say thanks again. That was a really interesting
Thank
conversation.
you.
Then hopefully I'll have you back on Sunday.
Yeah, definitely. We can chat about AI because it might have changed by then even more.
Yeah, thank you.
Great.